Attendance in some of our middle schools, different schools have structured their schedule differently, but some of our schools would have 20 periods in a week, 4 periods a day, which adds up to 40 periods a week. And for attendance, they say you're going to receive, after you are on time and present to 30 of your classes, you earn a point for every class that you're on time and present to after that. And this ensured getting that $50 average, because most of our kids, they're on time, they're present in class, but by really setting that standard and saying you got to show up to 75% of your classes on time before you start earning these dollars. It was something we heard from the schools. They wanted to set that kind of marker, but it also corresponded with about the average that the schools were seeing in attendance. Behavior is a little bit different. You can earn that point for behavior in every class across the period. Now, in some of our schools, they've elected to do this in kind of an average. They say you get you get a certain number of science points in 2 weeks, a certain number of math points in 2 weeks, and so on and so forth. And we take that stuff, we tabulate, and we say the average behavior score you got. Your teachers were saying you exhibited exemplary behavior in 6 of your classes on average. And other schools have chosen to do behavior more like attendance, where they've set that floor and you've added to it, and that's kind of different ways that the schools wanted to use the program. A third, which kind of, it seems a little squishy, and people are saying, really, you're paying them for uniforms, but for a lot of our schools this year, they wanted to get at school culture, and a lot of our principals and assistant principals and even the teachers said, one of the things that affects school culture is uniform compliance. Now in DC, we do not have mandatory uniforms, so this was an opportunity for schools to say, hey, we want to reward our kids for participating in the uniform policy that we've set forth that is not mandatory, but they can be rewarded for this. And so we've actually heard a lot of good things about that, but this generally, uniforms calculated the same way as attendance would be, where you comply in 30 of your classes and then you earn points after that 30. Homework, we already touched upon. It's the idea of completing your homework in all your classes every day. You earn a point when you do that. And it'll add up to generally to 10 points. It's variable, if there's a holiday or something. But and then finally, the average grade. And this has varied from different schools. Some schools have wanted to do break it out and do just an English grade or just a math grade. Some have wanted all classes, including PE and Spanish and music and all these things. But generally, we've set up a scale from 75 to 100 in increments of 2 or 3 that mirrors a little bit what we were talking about with the the attendance, the cutoff, and said, our schools said to us, we don't think our students should earn money for their academic performance if they're earning anything less than a 75, which in the district is about a C. We don't want to be giving our kids positive rewards for getting D's and high F's and things like that. So there's a floor created, and it varies. Some of our schools have set that a little bit higher, some a little bit lower to correspond to what the GPAs look like at their schools. But that's sort of the average grade. And as I said before, there are 5 metrics and 3 vary by schools. So this is kind of a sample that is indicative of what most of the schools do, but not necessarily all of them. So what does this look like after we've done the calculation? You've had your 2 weeks of earning your points. You have the 2-week period, and then one thing that, because we're taking in scores for 3,300 kids from 15 schools, from about 225 teachers who are tracking our students. We're taking all this in, and it takes a minute to make sure that we're calculating the scores correctly. And so we've got a lengthy process where we're cleaning the data and auditing the data to make sure that we're accurate. And by and large, we've had very few problems with anything being inaccurate. So it takes us about a week from we collect at the end of a 2-week period, and then we have a week to calculate the scores and then distribute the money. And we have, this year, our banking partner is SunTrust, and what they've done as part of this program is they have set up student-owned accounts. Now, this is rare for 12, 13, 14-year-olds. There's no parent that co-signs on this, and this is a basic tenet of the Harvard folks' idea of incentive programs. That it has to be directly for the students. It can't be something that gets taken home and becomes, the older sister's money when she beats up the little brother, or the parents' money in a lot of cases when the parents need some money for various things. to really incentivize the students. Harvard was very clear about this needing to be student-owned. And so SunTrust stepped in and they were able to create these accounts and have really been a wonderful partner in that respect. They're interest-earning savings accounts. And the other thing that they're providing, it's kind of just an aside, I didn't put this up there, but they're doing financial literacy with our students as well. So it's not just giving them money and then sending a $12 out the door with a $100 check. It's coming by monthly and presenting things on saving and banking, investing, and things like that. So there's this financial literacy component built in as well. So 2 weeks, and then a 1 week delay until the checks are distributed. So we started, our first 2 week period, I think began at the very end of September and encompassed the first 2 weeks of October, and then that first payday to students was October 17th. So that's sort of the end of the presentation. I think that kind of sums up where we are generally. I did say before, and I think you said this with the introduction, we're very early in the program. This is a 2-year agreement that we have with Ed Labs to do this year and next year. And so many of the ways that they're going to evaluate the effectiveness of this program is going to look at academic outcomes. And so we're still, I don't know how closely any of you follow this, but we're in the middle of our testing period right now. And so the end of year assessments are happening, and we won't get that data back until mid-June, mid-July. I always forget how long it takes for them to do that, but we'll get some preliminary results there. But the data and a lot of the analysis that Harvard is bringing to this program, one of the benefits of this partnership is their analysis, and we really won't see the exhaustive stuff until after the second year of the program. So I will open the floor to questions. I'm sure I kind of sped through that, so I hope it was clear enough. But I'd love to take your questions. Yes, ma'am.
What sorts of implementation problems have you been experiencing?
Kind of all the ones you would expect. Certainly at the beginning of the year, this is a brand new program, and so there was a lot of training that had to happen with our teachers and making sure that they were clear on how we're getting the data and how they need to be marketing the students to make sure that what we're getting is reflecting what they're seeing in the classroom. And so certainly for the first couple pay periods back in September and October, we were doing sort of an exhaustive analysis every time we got the data in to see where the problems are, and so we could go back and get with the schools and say, okay, here are the areas where we think you're telling us something that you don't mean, or something to that effect. The one way the program's structured is the principals take the lead at the schools, but every school has a school coordinator, and so these people are kind of troubleshooters, they're trainers, and so there's a lot of turnkey type stuff where we train the coordinators and make sure that they become experts, so then they can be the resident expert at their school. So if a teacher has a question or a concern, or a student or a parent or anyone has a question or concern, they can go to them. But for the most part, it's been relatively smooth. This first couple of weeks, it was making sure that everyone was on board with how to actually mark the students. But
do the teachers actually enter all the data into some kind of computer?
No, one of the things that we did end up kind of having to do on the fly is, and it worked out actually probably better than if we had to rely on online databases. We created tracking sheets that the teachers use, and it's literally a legal-sized piece of paper that captures the 2 weeks of classes for each of the class rosters that they see, and it's simple marks that they're making on those sheets, and which is great. Just as a former teacher, you're running around doing all sorts of things in the classroom, and you're not always going to remember when class is over. Okay, did Johnny misbehave, or was he a good student today, or was that yesterday? And having the tracking sheets, it's something easy that, in talking to a lot of our teachers as we're starting to plan for year 2, a lot of them are saying these sheets are very easy, they're user-friendly, and they're able to make those marks mid-class as they go. And then we collect those, and they get scanned, and we create the data files from that. Yes, ma'am?
Where is the money coming from? Is it teaching taxes, federal taxes, Harvard?
Harvard came up with half the money for the program. The program costs, it's about $2 million, and then the other half is from DCPS. Yeah?
How much extra time are the teachers and administrators having to put in each week to keep up with this program, to do all the evaluations, to enter all the information?
Sure.